The rupee slipped past 87 against the US dollar and hit a lifetime low yesterday, but settled marginally higher at 86.91. Will rupee on its downward trajectory, and how will it really impact people? Well, let's begin with students. Now, students who are studying overseas will have a very hard time shoring up their finances to meet their daily needs. Aspiring students, especially in the universities in the US, planning to either travel abroad or those who are planning to import items will also be severely affected as the cost of tuition, living expenses, traveling expenses, fees which is dominated in dollar will go up now substantially. Now, parents who fund their children's education from savings will see a higher outgo. Persons who have taken bank loans for their foreign education will feel the pinch. Moreover, students will have to now shell out more money for examinations such as TOEFL, GRE and GMAT. How much more? Let's find out. But first, let's take a look at how the rupee has performed against the dollar. Now, in 2015, the rupee was around 67 a dollar. Cut to 2022, the rupee climbed a steep trajectory to touch 83 against the dollar. In 2025, it has already touched an all-time high of 87 against the dollar. So rupee is on a downward trajectory compared to the dollar. What does this mean? Well, this means the rupee has weakened by nearly 30% against the US dollar in the last decade, the last 10 years alone, making dollar way more expensive for Indians. Now, studying in the US involves a lot of expenses, including tuition fee, accommodation and living cost, all of which are priced in dollar. So, as the rupee depreciates, the cost of these expenses in Indian rupee will rise sharply. Remember, this is an inverse relationship. So, for instance, let's assume that the annual tuition fee for a US university is fixed at $50,000. Now, in 2015, students would have to shell out 33.5 lakh rupees. But by 2022, the same tuition fee at 50,000 US dollars would be 41.5 lakh rupees. And by 2025, the tuition fee would be almost 43.5 lakh rupees. This means that the same fee has now increased by 10 lakh rupees in 10 years due to rupee's depreciation. Similarly, living expenses in the US for all those who are living in the US, students, travelers, this means around $20,000 annually in living expenses, which have now also become way more expensive. So in 2015, if you were spending about 13.4 lakh rupees, by 2025, you would be spending about 17.4 lakh rupees at constant prices, given that we're not increasing prices based on inflation and keeping those prices fixed at $20,000. This adds an extra 4 lakh rupee to the overall cost of living. Combine the tuition fee and living expense. If you're a student in the US, it has now risen dramatically from 46.9 lakh rupees in 2015 to almost 60 lakh rupees in 2025. Now, this is a 30% increase in just 10 years due to rupee's depreciation. What does this mean for students? Well, it means number one, more borrowing. Students taking loan in rupees will need to now borrow more. This means that there will be increased debt burden, which will impact their ability to finance their education. It also means greater financial planning. Families must have significantly more savings now to afford overseas education. Parents will have to shell out a lot more money compared to what they had to 10 years ago, well, almost 30% more. And this also means that some students may opt out for more affordable destinations or in fact delay their plans to go to the US for education if the cost of living remains elevated. Now, with the rupee projected to weaken further in days and weeks to come, the financial challenge of pursuing at least overseas education, travel to the US will only go up.